because Gemma is sat in a field in Devon. How very lovely. If you can hear scratching, that is Minnie abluting in the corner. Minnie, do you want to come and say good morning to everybody? Come here, my trusty hound. Here she is, looking lovely. Jane said to me this morning, sit there. There you go. Oh, has she got a new collar? And yes, she has. So you're a big grown-up girl now, aren't you? Yes, now you stopped growing, you can have a proper collar. So Minnie's with us this morning, aren't you? Hey, not the big dog. He's finding it all too hot. Did you survive the heat wave? Whew. Are we through it now? Gemma says that it's raining in Devon, but we still seem to have sunshine. So not sure about that, are we? Hey, not sure about that. So today we have got, at last, the beautiful, beautiful William Morris velvets that you've seen hung on the back wall for the last week or so. And this week, sorry, pop it, there you go. Yeah, we're going to make this. We have made various from tapestries. We've still got some William Morris tapestry, by the way, if you fancy making this out of tapestry instead. But I wanted to do a softer, slouchy one. So I've used H640 for this bag, but you can use Style-Vil Fix if you wish, if you want a rigid look. But we've got little pockets down the front. So yeah, it's a handy one today. And it's a little bit more slouchy. It's a little bit more of a softer finish. But it's lovely. It's a lovely one. So we've got velvets to go with it today. Maybe you're just going to do cushions. Maybe you're just going to take this fabric because it is absolutely stunning. And maybe you're just going to make cushions for your sofa. And I would completely understand that. In which case, we have got gorgeous fabrics, plain fabrics that go with it beautifully. That are just going to work an absolute treat. We've also got black velvet back in stock. Let's swing that around. For those of you that were after our normal black velvet, that is also back in stock. So if you're wondering what the bags are, that's the tapestry bag. Then you've got today's Slouchy Velvet bag. And then on the end, you've got the rivet handled bag. Now, here's the thing. If you are one of my Natasha Makes design members, we are going to... I had a request to to insert a letterbox zip into a bag made with Style-Vil. Now, on our designs members area, there's already a tutorial up for the bag at the end. So what I suggest we do is make the front panel ready for that. Then I will show you in that workshop how to insert a lovely letterbox zip so you can have a zip from the outside. So if you've stocked up on your Style-Vil, well done. Today we have got 30% off the rest of our H640. I saved a little bit back for today. Jane is frantically cutting it so that we can load it, and that will be on today's show, and that has got 30% off. We are basically trying to clear all of our interfacings, because when they move, they're the first to like get a bit of dust or grass or anything stuck to it when you move. So I've cut them all so I know exactly how much we have, and they've all gone into bags ready to ship to you. Now I know some of you missed out on the Style-Vil Fix, so I might restock that one if there are enough of you that still require it for the workshop. Gosh, lots of notices today. The other thing is, hang on. Let's say good morning, shall we, to everybody first. Let's just do that thing. So on that there book of faces, we have got, who have we got with us this morning? Who is here? Who is here? Let's have a little look. We've got Liz, we've got Sandra, we've got Jan, hello, and Ginny. She said your dog is so huggable. She really is. She will go and sit on my foot pedal though. So if you suddenly see my machine jump to life, it's probably because of Minnie. Liz is here, and Brenda, good morning, and Debbie, good morning everyone. There is another heat wave coming at the end of next week. Okay. Joy is here, and Jane's here, and Julia's here, and Sandra's here, and Claire's here, and Karen's here, and Rena's here. Good morning to everybody. It's so lovely. Oh, and Susan's just joined as well. It's so lovely to have all of your company. So, without further ado, shall we take a little look at these velvets? Now these are available by the half metre, by the metre rather, or if you want a half metre bundle, there's a saving on that. There is a saving on it. Now, I don't know how long this velvet is going to last. So you can either get it by the metre, or if you just want a half metre, and you'd get a few cushions out of this. Especially if you use the other velvets to back it. Do you remember when Jane came back from the National Trust absolutely horrified at the price of their William Morris velvet and tapestry cushions? And so we had to do a whole show on finishing off cushions because she was so appalled at the price of them. So if you want to just make cushions out of these, then you go for it, because they'll be absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. So these are the colours. This is what you're getting: a half metre of navy, a half metre of jungle green, and a half metre of scarlet. They are what you get in terms of colours that go with, and then obviously you're going to get your Strawberry Thief in velvet. And this is the thing. So what we don't have when we use tapestry is a slouchy fabric, is a soft. The drape on this is absolutely beautiful. Now, bear in mind that this is, what's the word I want? Upholstery grade. So this isn't going to wear out, rub out, or anything like that. You can upholster your cushions, your footstools, everything in this. It's absolutely fine to do so. You can make your curtains out of it, you can bag make, you can also dress make with it as well, because it has got that beautiful, beautiful drape, and that's very important. So these are the three colours that you will get with it, so you've got plenty to choose from, and that would be very, very, very lovely. So that's today's bundle, and you've got a really chunky discount if you're going for this little bundle here. Otherwise everything's available by the metre, which is how we sell our velvets, because you'll use them, and that'll be that, really. Now, can I also take your attention to these? Now, there are 30 of these absolute stunners. Have a look on Facebook, because I have done a real good close-up of these. These are the Kaufman Mix Metallics, and they are stunning. Well, we'll take a closer look on them in the week. At the moment today, we are offering the full 30. Now, they all have metallic. They are all blenders. Why do we need a blender? We need a blender in our life, because then we've always, sorry Minnie, we've always got the right colour. And here we've got the right design, we've got luxury. This is the thing that makes your stash go even further, because you're always going to have the right colour to add a little snippet with, or to line it with, or to complement it with. You're always going to have the right colour, and it's going to be absolutely stunning. It's going to give you that bit of extra zhuzh to your make, because the quality on these is absolutely second to none. It's Robert Kaufman. Now, we're offering this as a long quarter bundle with all of them to start off with. We will then, once everyone's had their go at that, because the worst thing is when you just sell it by the half metre, and then you can't honour those full collections. So if for those of you that want the full collection, there is a lovely over £30 discount on that. That's like getting 1.5 metres for free, by the way. Yeah, that kind of discount on this. I understand it's considered purchase. I do get it, but if you do get it, or when you do get it, you will absolutely adore them and wonder why you ever even hesitated. Tomorrow, we chunk them down into sixes. So they will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into how they are at the moment, but into sixes. Your discount is on them as the complete bundle. That's the only way that we can make that discount work. They're Kaufman. They are premium, top notch. If any of you have ever had Kaufman in the past, then you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. But Jane has got a lovely make that you could do with ombres. This is what Jane is making tomorrow. It's her Tutti Frutti quilt. but you could easily make that with ombres and it would look rather lovely. So that's what we have got coming up this week. And then on Wednesday, some of you will have seen my story. I bought some cowhide by accident. It's not that I've got to think about leopard print, honest. And I didn't mean to. I thought it was faux leather, and it didn't. I didn't read the description properly, and it came and it was proper leather. So there was only one thing to do, and that was to make myself, and I did this in about 10 minutes, a lovely, lovely, lovely clutch. Now, I say clutch. You can have it as a clutch, you see, like that, or you can have it as a like a grab and go bag. So I've been using this. I absolutely adore it. But if you can make it out of leather, you can make it out of PU, you can certainly make it out of cork. This is the cork version here. Now obviously I've lined this version with velvet. Oh, it's gorgeous. But with 2 extra lines of sewing, you can turn that into this bag. I'm going to show you how on Wednesday. That's Wednesday's show. And this one, look at this one. Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. This one is lined in one of the stunning, stunning Kaufmans. And we've got those little handmade tags coming up as well. So a very, very, very different look to the original one. This is the joy of making, isn't it? Cork Makes members, I filmed this. On Wednesday we will make that one, and I'll briefly tell you how to go into that. But Cork Makes members have a full demo of those that will be added in the next day or so. And breathe. Handles are the thing that makes all the difference. Don't they look so different just with different handles? So let's take a look at what handles we've got so that you too can stock up. Yes, yes, yes. Let's have a look. So we have got, for your delectation, these are the handles that I've used for my bag. So these are your 60cm PU pre-made rivet handles. I've got them in a light tanny colour. I've got them in a one that has got sort of a grain effect. I've got it in a black grain effect, a dark coffee grain effect. What else have I got in here? Oh, these are the handles that I use for my bag on Wednesday. These we had originally for the Izzy bag, but they work beautifully with this one as well. And then this is your 40cm mint ones. Actually, do you know what? If I hadn't done round handles and I'd done this as normal ones, given the lining on that, they would have been rather gorgeous. And again, a completely different look. I love all of this. I love that we've now got fabrics that are going to go so well just with your handles and all that kind of thing. We also have snaky chain handles, because again that changes the look. You've seen these before. So on Wednesday's bag we used the screw and D-rings. We do have little kits where you get the chains and the screw and D-rings in a gold colour and a silver colour. We have got lobster swivel D-rings with olive green webbing, so you can make your own webbing handle. We've got pre-made, oh no, this one you make yourself. So this, with these you get over 3 meters of webbing and the hardware. So you get a lot more webbing than you do with the pre-made handles, but the pre-made handles are pre-made. So it's up to you which way you go. And they're great for crossbody bags, for the bowling bags, all that kind of stuff. I've got pink ones, I've got grey ones, I've got brown ones. Hooray! I have got, they're the handles that I've put on my cowhide bag. Isn't it lovely? I have to say, I have got I've got a handful of that cowhide. So if you want to make the same bag and you want to do it out of cowhide, then I did. And I've got tan ones, I've got mint ones, and I've got black ones, 30 centimetre ones, one pair in the mint and the 40 centimetre. If you, now we did these as a bundle, as handles with the D-ring attachments for the hanging shoe bags. So we've got a few of those kicking about, some with plaited tops, woven tops rather. And then in terms of the brown bag handles, we've got amber, we've got sparkly ones, we've got black ones, and we've got the wood effect ones. And we've got a couple of these. They make great knitting bags. What else have we got handle-wise? I've got more chains, and then this one got overlooked, but I think it's really worth flashing around, because not only do you get the D-rings with this one, so you get the hardware for the other side of the bag, but this will go with anything. You put that with your cork or anything. It's a really, really... The leopard print ones are a bit of a statement, aren't they? And I absolutely love them, and I use all of these with my half-metre, half-hour wax bags. And I love them all. But if you wanted something slightly more discreet, that's the way to go. So these are all on the website. A lot of these are discounted. A lot of them are discounted, ready to go, especially like these ones. Because obviously we're moving warehouse and we need to go. Hence the discount on the interfacing as well. I'm going to have to. Mortimer, can you stop knocking stuff off, please? Right. I don't know if Gemma's watching or if it's just SJ, but I'm going to have to keep a light coffee pair of handles for today's make. Should we get making? Shall we? Shall we? Let's. So, what do we need today? Well, whatever you decide to do with these. Going to need a long quarter of cork. You're going to need strips of 2 of your contrast colours. Now you might do it in blue and red, you might do it in blue and green. Because I was cutting this morning, I've gone for the same ones there. Now let's talk about, and all your cutting instructions obviously are in your instructions now. In the bag that I have done, you will notice, and you will see any minute when we start to get making, you can see the velvet runs all the way down under the pockets there. But there's no side seam, so that he can run all the way round, uninterrupted. Now you will get, if you are careful with how you cut, and on one of them you don't mind going right up to the tail here, then you can get 2 out of your half metre. Okay. Now with the other end, this was actually printed a little bit closer. So when I was cutting for my sample, I used this white, and you won't see it because it's just, that is the seam allowance. But actually, I can cut this one and still end up being where I need to be. Oh no, I haven't mentioned, Gemma, that we've got 3 for 2 on technical fabrics today. We have, that is true. We have got, quite by accident, 3 for 2 on our wax and technical fabrics. I nearly did the base out of wax for this. I would have done it out of the tan tin cloth, actually. And but then I thought, oh no, actually that gold cork's just come back in. We're going to have a little bit of that. But yeah, no, that is very true. We do have 3 for 2 on wax and technical fabrics. The other thing is we are about to close the orders because of the move early for the Advents and the 12 days of Christmas. So if you want one of them these years, and we will be sending them out earlier this year, if you want one of this year's Advents and 12 days of Christmas, what's the 12 days of Christmas, you might well ask? The 12 days of Christmas gives you 12 little gifts and patterns over the course of the 12 days. So you get, it varies, sometimes it's 3 different patterns, sometimes it's 4, but little makes, you get everything that you need to make the make. So that in that week where you get a bit confused between Christmas and New Year, you've got a little something to do. Nothing taxing, it's beginner friendly, but you just get a little something to open and do between Christmas and the 12 days of Christmas, just after the New Year. And they've always been very, very popular, but because of the move, we will be closing the books on that early. So if you want one, please order it now. I know it sounds crazy, but please do order it now. Same with the Advents. If we don't sell the full stock that we have of the Advents, that's fine. It means I don't have to box up quite so many. But I need numbers. I need final numbers on that sooner rather than later, please, so that we can get those boxed. They will be sent early because we don't have as much space going into the new place. We've been looking for a year and a half, and this is the best fit that we've found. But it does mean that we do not have the storage that we have here. Not yet, anyway. We need to work on that. A little bit of work needs to be done before we have that. So the Advents, you can imagine, take up a lot of space. So if we can get those boxed and out to you early this year, then we're winning. But it does mean that you need to place your order if you want an Advent calendar. And our Advent calendars are hand wrapped. They're all hand wrapped by myself and the team in brown paper bags and things with a sticker telling you what day it is that you can then put in your recycling. That's really important for us. If you want something that's going to be full of cheapy stuff from China, don't buy ours. Ours have got fabrics, they've got patterns, they've got knickknacks, they've got all sorts of goodies in, but they're not like a high street one. They are made with love by us. Every single one is hand wrapped by us, so you get 25 little gifts every single day. And do you know what? When we put them on sale on Christmas Day for the following year, we always get a massive uptake. So I know that you love them. And if you've not tried one before, maybe treat yourself this year. Maybe that is the time. Maybe this is the year that you actually treat yourself. Because I don't know about you, but as a busy mum, it's very easy to overlook, get everything for everybody else. Sometimes it's just nice to get something for yourself. Unapologetically for yourself. And that is also equally fine. So yeah, if you fancy giving yourself a little treat, then why not grab yourself one of those? But like I say, if you are expecting something pre-packaged in plastic, don't get ours. They won't be. They will be lovingly wrapped in brown paper. Because it is eco and sustainable. I get so upset when you just see the bins full of stuff that can't be recycled on Christmas Day. So for me, I like the fact that they can be recycled. I am doing this 19 inches just because, for the simple reason that when you get a metre, we always cut our metres to 20 inches, so you always get a little bit more anyway. But if you need to fussy cut a little bit or whatever it is that you want to do, then you can. There we go. So what we've now got, here we go, is this. Now, if I'd have actually thought about it, I could have left just a little bit more so I don't cut into his tail. But I've got a full tail on both of mine. Now, this means that this might be half an inch shorter than the other one. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't make much difference. I'm going to pop my iron on there because we will be interfacing this. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is look at the nap. So when you're working with velvet, just run your hand up and down it, and you will notice that there you go. Can you see when I come this way, it becomes a different colour, it goes darker. That's the nap. So the nap on this goes up. So if I want to have my naps, which I do, quite like a nap right now. I spent the night designing this in my head. I'm quite tired now. Then I want the naps to all go in the same way. So I'm going to lay them out exactly how I need them to go in order to get my naps in line. That's the way then that's going to sit there. And then, there we go. That way. It's just a little thing, and probably no one would notice, but you might. And you might go, oh, really wish I'd sorted out my naps. Sleep routines are a very, very important thing. Right, let me rethread my machine and then we are good to go. So we're going to basically sew this into one long panel so that we don't have to keep chopping into this beautiful, beautiful strawberry thief. And because it's slouchy, it can then work its way all the way round. All the way around the edge of the bag as well. Okay. Yeah, we've got quite a lot to do with this make this morning, so let's crack on. So let's put this right sides together and sew this in place. Walking foot on. I just think sometimes, unless you're going to pin velvets to within an inch of their life, like a walking foot on saves any arguments then. And you won't have a problem. But these velvets would be absolutely, I'm just going to batch sew, absolutely suitable for any of the bags that you see on the show today. So the tapestry bag, you could use velvet instead. The rivet handle bag, you can use velvet instead. All of these things can be made, like I say, with velvet instead of tapestry. We do have tapestry though on the website, should you wish. Now, because this is, move that out of the way, because this is an upholstery tapestry, is very resilient. It's really resilient. Now, I know a lot of you would probably, and probably wisely, shy away from ever putting any steam on your velvet. And if it was an Odile velvet, I would say absolutely. But with these, you can go in and press that seam open. And that is just going to give us less bulk when we come, caught up on the table, when we come to interface. So don't worry about these ones, honestly, they will be fine. and it just means, oh, crikey, look at all that thread there. It just means that when we come to interface, it's going to sit nice and just flatter, really. So open that up. Like I say, if you're using a velvet that you haven't bought from us, please do test it first. But because I use these velvets so often, I know what I can get away with, and what I can tell you that you can get away with as well with it. So we'll go right sides together then. Now this is, I forgot to trim this back off my half metre, so I've got a little bit of overhang which I can just cut back later. I'm not worried about that. If only all overhang was so easily dealt with. Machine up there for you. It's probably a better angle, isn't it? I've been told off for sewing standing up. My back lady is not impressed at all. I don't know how else I'd do it. Even when I sew for pleasure, I sew standing up now. Oh. Does anybody know of anybody that would like to buy my GP very swanky industrial, full industrial sewing machine? It is the most incredible beast, and it does straight stitches like you wouldn't believe. It's got a computer program, so you can program sort of forward and back stitches when you start and finish and all that kind of stuff. It is absolutely fabulous, and I love it very much. However, I do not have space for it in the new place. We also have an adjustable sewing table that we will also need to sew. Again, we do not have space for all of these things. So if you would like, they used to sell on Sewing Quarter for like 1,500 quid a pop. If you would like to have ours, and then you get the sewing table bit made to measure for your machine. They're very clever. They're the RMS ones with the fold-out ironing board. They're very good. Then please do message. They were bought by me, not the business, so it would have to be a private transaction, and buyer collects or organises transportation of them. But they're a bit of a bargain, so PM me if you are interested, or info@natashamakes.com, and I will pass on your details and I will get in touch. But I thought here is as good a place as any to just sort of check if anyone's interested, because you never know. You never know. So again, just steaming open. Right, now, I knew that I was going to make 2 of these today, so I've got myself a metre of H640. However, when I cut it in half, it's not quite deep enough, by about 1 inch. So if you are frugaling, like me, and that's absolutely fine, we do not have a problem with anyone frugaling, and when you get your instructions you'll see that I have indeed frugaled. Just what I would say is line up the top of your interfacing, and if you're going to have any missing at all, because you've got that cork base, if you've got anything, if you're short at all, be short at the base, because you're going to have the cork on there and you're not going to notice, and it's going to be less to actually sew through. Okay, so again, you can interface from the top here. We'll trim back anything extra that we didn't need afterwards. Now you can see the nap, can't you? There you go. But it irons out, so honestly, don't put your iron heavily on top of it. Just hover. You know how some sewing machines have got like a hover stitch and it just lifts you just off the velvet so that it doesn't mark it? Imagine that your iron is like that. So you're not quite on it, otherwise you will get marks like that. You're just going to hover just above it and deliver that steam. Like I say, if you want to use Style-Vil Fix and go for a really firm finish, you absolutely do that. But I did want to just give a nod to the drapeability. I'm about to run out of steam. Not good so early in the day, is it? I love this iron. I love it very, 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 very much. But the only downside is when you do run out of steam, you have to turn it off and you have to wait for the whole thing to cool down because it's pressurised before you can refill the steam. So it takes a little bit of time. So the last thing you want actually is to run out of steam mid-press. But there we go. So I'm just going to tidy up these lines and these edges. Do you know what? Isn't Minnie good? You wouldn't know she was here, would you? You really wouldn't. She's such a good girl. Reuben, our Great Dane, has not coped well with the heat, it would be fair to say. It has not been his friend. He's been all huffy and panty and a bit, but equally doesn't want to be left out of anything. Oh, bless him, he's not. He's had to be. It's not often we crate Reuben, because he's normally such a good boy, but this weekend, just to stop him from doing stuff and overheating, he's had to be in his little crate, bless him. So just trimming everything back so that it's all looking rather fabulous, and then we're going to have a look at that cork. Just so beautiful to work with. If you haven't worked with velvet yet, give these ones a go because they are so easy to work with. Not all velvets are created equal, but these ones are just lush and divine. Enjoy them. Here we go. So let's get the pocket and base on now. So, going to take your strip of cork. Now, a note on this. obviously when we cut you your strawberry thief, the birds are going to be placed differently as they come off the roll. So if you start looking at this, if your birds are placed right up here, you might want to make this a little bit deeper. If your birds are placed a little bit lower and you're sort of cutting off half their tails, you might not want to make these pockets at all, and you might want to just sew that on at whatever level it is that is going to work for you. So don't feel like you have to add the pockets, and don't feel like you have to have them at that height. Please do use your common sense. If your birds sit a little bit higher or lower, then you can just adapt the height of this to suit. So cut it the length of your fabric. So you'll get a few good makes out of that. If you've got quilters wash away tape, now our quilters wash away tape is currently out of stock. It is due in any day. I keep getting, we import, and I hadn't realised quite how low we'd got. So it is on its way. But even I went to Jane this morning, Jane, have you got a secret stash? Because I'm nearly out. It's terrible times. When even I don't have quilters wash away tape, we know that something has gone horribly wrong in our lives. Now we're going to top stitch this. We're going to take the tape off, fold it over and top stitch it down. I'm going to do this from the other end. You'll see why in a minute. So, and use that 1/4 of an inch to guide you. And I'm going to start to sew it down. So I'm not going to take off all the tape. I'm just going to do it as I go, as I stitch and sew. Excuse me, it's definitely a morning for coffee. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Next week I've got some lovely ideas for the waxes. So if you are making the most of the 3 for 2, please do. The waxes will be another thing that again we're not going to have masses of room for, so they are going to need to go before we move as well. I will not be able to get them back, which I'm very sad about. I've told you on numerous occasions, so I know we get different people listening and watching all the time. So the waxes we got at an amazing price, and I pass that discount on to you. They are the waxes that are used to make barber jackets. But somewhere along the line there was a retirement. These came not quite onto the open market, but enough that I could get my hands on them, and they are absolutely stunning. So they are incredible value. They should be £45 a metre, and we sell them out at 15. So you've already got a massive saving there on these waxing technical fabrics. Anything other than the Bonneville generally can be washed, which blows my mind a little bit. Still can't work out how that's a thing, but it is. But the Bonnevilles have a beautiful, beautiful finish to them. Oh, Cynthia says, greetings, I haven't tried working with velvet yet, but I do now have a dookie thanks to Gary's advice. Gary is a very helpful man. What can I say? Right. So we have hemmed our cork and we know where we want it to sit. So now we're just going to baste this in place at the ends. Okay. So let's just get this in place so that we know that those pockets are there. And then you can start to put your pockets in. So if you know that you've got a phone or anything, and by the way, you can add poppers and things in. So if you want to put a popper on your pocket, then please do that. You know, don't feel like you can't if you want to make those pockets more secure. I haven't, but only because I didn't, not because you can't. So just bear that in mind. But velvet is a very beautiful medium to work with. The Duke machines absolutely fly through it. It's really no problem at all. And I mean, here you've got a walking foot going through, cork, velvet, interfacing, the lot, not batting an eyelid at all. Okay. So the first thing that I would probably do is, well, get yourself a heat erasable marker for a start. Okay, and I would follow this line. So this is going to be your sort of your corner, I guess, of your bag. So I'm just going to pop that there. And then if you want to make another pocket here, and I really would divvy these up so that you don't end up with one massive gaping pocket. It's not a good look. So it is just worth taking the time. And I follow the pattern really for me to see where it sort of naturally works, being not segregated, segmented, yeah, that's what I want. Honestly, I've lost the words at the minute. Does anybody else have days like that? Like, I know the words, I know they're there, but they're just out of my reach. Just out of my reach. I guess that's why we have the saying on the tip of your tongue, isn't it? Ah, no, look, I did not sew that. Quite, I'm going to unpick that because that's going to annoy me. That's going to throw everything otherwise. Oh no. Do a good job when you baste it in place, not like me. If this happens to you and you are worried that it's going to happen to you, again, baste it in place with your quilter's wash away tape. And then you know it's not going to shift. As long as you've still got some left. Ah! Someone said, but I thought you were moving warehouse. I was like, yeah, there's always going to be things that I need. And quilter's wash away tape will be one of them. Right, okay. Let's sew a few of these down, shall we? That'll do. Right. I'm just going to work my way along where I've marked. I tend to do a couple of stitches forwards and back. I'm on a stitch length of about 2. Not because the cork can't take, you know, smaller, but just because when you go through any number of layers, it's best to just elongate your stitch length. So if I was, I'd probably work on an even longer length if I was working with Style-Vil Fix, just because it's got a greater depth. Your stitch can only go so far. So if it's going through something that's not very deep, then it can just go along, along, along. If you increase that depth, it's still going to try and go along the same amount, but actually that forwards action is going to be taken up with the depth of whatever it is you're sewing. So you'll end up with shorter stitches to account for the stitch, the thread that's been taken up in the depth instead, if that makes any kind of sense, which is why we lengthen our stitch length. It's quite a complicated way to explain something simple there for you, but you get what I mean. Well, hopefully you get what I mean. So yes, advent calendars, one of the last shout outs for those. We've almost finished wrapping everything, so we are almost good to go. That's if I actually lift the foot. That's why I can't get anything under there. There we go. Okay. Now, if you've used a heat erasable pen, then you can just go and just lightly run your iron or apply some sort of heat over the top. And for those of you that are going, don't do it on your cutting mat, you'll ruin it. Cork is an insulator, so it probably, no, it hasn't gone through. We're all good. So now, here we are, a few threads to snip. And let's go right sides together. Now this is where you want to just check your measurements here for when you cut your lining. So I'm sitting at about 19.5, just under. I will probably cut my lining on the fold at 19, because my cotton can stretch a little bit, and I know that I've got a bit of bulk here as well. So I'm going to sew down this one side, and that is your bag outer nearly done, would you believe? Which is great news. Now we are going to box the bottoms on this, okay, but here's the thing, to box the bottoms you need to cut squares, okay, so we know here we've got 1/4 inch, and we will sew along here 1/4 inch seam. So what I'm going to say is cut your square on the seam line, okay, on that 1/4 inch seam line. That's where I want you to cut your square from. There will be 1/4 inch seam here, so I'm allowing for that there. But over here, you've got a folded edge, so you can go right up to that there. If you've ever boxed a bottom and it's been a bit wonky and you haven't quite been able to work out why you don't get a nice straight line, it'll be because of a seam or something. A nice sharp pair of scissors in you go. So we're going to sew along the bottom here. A couple of clips in there. And then we'll box the bottoms. I could have sewn all the way along the base first and then cut if you want to do that, and then at least you know where that 1/4 inch is, but what you will probably then have to go in and do is just reinforce the seams just at the end, which isn't a bother, you can easily do that. So now at the seams, I'm going to align that seam with that seam centrally by pulling it apart. And you can have one seam go one way, one seam go the other. If you need to temporarily clip it, then do. Get that underneath your machine. I would go back and forth over that seam if you wanted to strengthen it. So you've got that nice straight long line there. Now over here, this is the folded end. So we don't have a seam to match up with, but we do have where we know that's going to fold in the middle. If you are in any doubt, just fold it in from those edges. I would still always check afterwards that I have just caught everything. Just check you've caught everything both sides. And if you want to neaten and trim anything back, then you can. No problem. Okay, so that is the outside done. It's got a little bit of a slouch, but it's still got enough body to hold itself. Right, let's now get, I've used moss because moss is the same green as the jungle green that we've got. So I'm going to cut myself a 1/2 metre, well, I'm not going to cut myself a 1/2 metre, I don't need to. I'm going to cut myself 19 inch because that's the height of our bag. And then that folded end there, I love using my cutting mat for measurements. It just makes life so much easier. Now I said I was going to do that slightly smaller, didn't I? And the same thing here. We'll do, we'll allow for, this is my folded edge, so I'm just going to allow for a 1/4 inch there, but go straight up on that edge there, because whatever you do to the outside, you've got to do to that inside. But here I know I'm going to have a seam down here and a seam across there. I also want to leave a turning through gap as well. Also need to find my scissors. So we're going to stitch down there, leave a turning through gap, stitch along there, and then we're going to box the bottom. And then that is our lining done, which is pretty cool too. And I've completely forgotten to leave a turning through gap. Go me. I'll try and remember to leave one in the bottom. Honestly, Isn't that just, that's just me, isn't it? Leave a turning through gap, totally forgotten to leave a turning through gap. Well done, me. Right, let's box those corners here. So this one again, that seam is going to meet the fold. And that's what we're aligning. So there's that fold, there's the seam. Align it there. There we go. So turn your lining through the right way. Insert into your bag, match the seams. And then we're going to top stitch around the top of our bag. And I just keep arranging the bag so that I've got a nice straight line to go at. Without pulling it and bending my needle. Don't go at it that hard. That's not a good idea. Now heading towards that last little bit. So we're going to want to turn it through the turning through gap that I finally remembered to actually, you know, so if you wanted to put a popper on and you didn't want to go through the lining as well, now would be your time to do that. So you can pop your poppers on there and go in through the lining should you wish. Again, I'm not worried about having a popper on there, so I'm not going to. But what I will do is sew up my turning through gap. I love these greens. I never used to be a green kind of a gal, but these mossy rich ones I really love. And then stuff your lining inside. and just align the seam along the top of the bag and top stitch around the top. And again, with a walking foot, that's super easy to do. So just keeping the seam on the top. You could press it if you wanted to, but I just have to turn my iron off to cool down. So that's not going to work for me. Oh, did you see the lovely little steam irons that I had on the Friday deals? I don't know if they've sold or not. I didn't have that many. They're really, really cute. I keep seeing them all over Instagram and TikTok and places like that. And I just thought they look really fun. So they're little mini steam irons, but the handle swizzles out so that you can pack them away really nicely. So if you fancied treating yourself to a TikTok type iron, they're little mini steam irons, they're really nice. Then go for it. Oh, we've only got one left, says SJ. There you go. If you want to be the owner of a very fancy schmancy little steam iron, then go for it. Okay, so here is our bag, and then it's really just for you to then add on your handles however you wish. Now I have I have the last set of navy handles. I'm going to go with gold rivets, so I've got so many little packets of rivets like that kicking about where I go, no, I'm going to use different rivets. I use Chicago screws on my bag. Excuse me, Minnie. And I nabbed the last navy pair because it went with that. So the Chicago screws, they screw in. And they're really, really, really smart. But rivets work beautifully as well because they are rivet handle bags. But I would just change my hardware from the silver that they come with to a gold. And what I did was I lined up this with the edge there and then measured in. I think it's about like 4 7/8 or something in, and then pop your rivets through there, and that'll be your bag made. It is that simple. I use a leather punch, so I mark the holes, leather punch, put your rivets in, and then hammer those rivets in, and that's it. That's the bag, and you are done. And when you're not writing all the instructions and everything else for it, it really doesn't take very long at all. So this is today's, if you want to get a hold of the William Morris velvet, it feels amazing, then you have 2 ways to get it. 1 is by the meter, or 2 is in the half meter bundle with a discount with the 3 other half meters, plain half meters that go with. So that is today's make. I love it. I hope you did too. I will see you tomorrow with Jane when we're going to make her Tutti Frutti quilt. So take care. Grab yourselves your Kaufman if it is in your budget to do so, because you will just thank me for it. And it is stunning, absolutely stunning. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.